What's up, everybody? BAM Racing Videos here. I'm the man behind the camera, Brandon Metler, and welcome to the first episode of my new Left Behind series that will highlight the lost, forgotten, and abandoned racetracks of this great country. In this episode, we will be visiting 3 short tracks in the state of Indiana, some of which closed 50 years ago and some of which closed just a few years ago. Sit back and jump back in time with me as we take a look at Armscamp Speedway, Union County Speedway, and Muncie Motor Speedway. The first track we're going to take a look at in this video is Union County Speedway. Union County is the most recent track to close in this list, closing just a few years ago after the 2018 racing season. Union County Speedway was actually under a new name that only lasted for its last 2 years of operation. The track was called Route 44 Speedway for its 2017 and 2018 racing seasons, which ended up being its final 2 racing seasons of its current history. Here's a clip courtesy of the Dirt Racing Connection from 2017 when the track was operating under the name Route 44
Side by side
Speedway.
go the leaders into turn 1. Lennox on the outside. Now they're 3 wide with Stricker to the inside. That's not going to fit into turn 3. Stricker on the inside of the 8 car. Looks like he's going to make that pass stick. Lennox with problems. And here comes Bill Lewis. Oh, we got a crash. The 93 of Woodyard on the front stretch turned around.
It's important to note that many people may know the track as Whitewater Valley Speedway, which was the name the track initially opened up as back in the 1970s. The track was pretty successful up until the early 2000s when the name was changed to Union County Speedway. The name was switched back to Whitewater Valley Speedway after some time before changing to its final name of Route 44 Speedway in 2017. As seen in this aerial picture from 2014, the track also featured a small kart oval and a dirt drag strip. Here's some clips from these tracks as well. As you can tell from these pictures from 2005, 2006, and 2008, the track also set up different motocross or off-road tracks. I couldn't find much info or video on these, but it looks like they changed quite a bit in just a few years. On most nights, the track usually ran a combination of modifieds, street stocks, pure stocks, and compacts, in addition to some sprint car midgets and super late model events. I hope to be back again sometime if the track ever goes back racing, but for now, all I can do is hope it doesn't get too far left behind. For the next track in this video, we will be revisiting the Muncie Motor Speedway outside Albany, Indiana. I will say there's not much video or pictures of this track because it was only in operation for just a few years. In its first stint, the track only stayed open for 1 racing season in 1973 before opening back up in 1985. Even at that point, the track only operated for 5 more years until 1990 when it was closed down by the EPA because it was unknowingly built on a toxic waste dump. Rumor had it that Interstate Batteries was to blame for the toxic waste, but I'm curious to hear if anyone else has any knowledge about exactly what was the cause for the waste. As I mentioned, the Muncie Motor Speedway opened in 1973 and featured a quarter-mile oval track and an infield figure 8, which was popular in the state of Indiana as much as it is still popular today. Several local favorites won big profile races at the track, including USAC Midget and ASA Stock Car races. Mel Kenyon, Rick Ronimus, and Gene Christie were just a few of the big event winners at Muncie, according to the Third Term website. The website also has event results for years other than those I mentioned. If anyone has any information or stories about that, feel free to let me know in the comments below. The facility has a drag strip adjacent to the abandoned oval track, which is still in operation today. That's about all the information I have from Muncie Motor Speedway, but I know there are several watching this video that have stories about the track when it was running. I'd love to read those stories in the comments if anyone wants to share. Finally, for the coolest track of this video, We go to the small town of Alexandria, Indiana, as we visit Armscamp Speedway. Armscamp Speedway was located roughly 25 minutes north of Anderson Speedway, which was then Sun Valley Speedway, and about an hour west from the famed Winchester Speedway. Armscamp included two oval tracks. The outer oval was a quarter mile, and the inner oval was an eighth mile. Jalopies, sprint cars, and midgets were the usual divisions at the track on any given night. Armscamp Speedway was built in the brunt of World War II in 1941 by Joe Armstrong and Frank Scamp Morty of Anderson, Indiana, hence the name Armscamp. Armscamp Speedway was a relatively big track as far as how many people it could seat and how popular the track was in comparison to other tracks in the area. The grandstands could seat somewhere around 4 to 5,000 spectators. The track was known for its unique way of doing things, such as implementing Le Mans style starts to their heat races and a figure eight track, similar to that of Sun Valley, which was interesting because drivers usually didn't wear a harness or seatbelts. Shortly after opening in 1941, Armscamp had to take 1943 and 1944 off during World War II, but was later allowed to open after receiving a pardon from the Office of Defense Transportation. In 1946, the track suffered its first recorded death, as Houston Mundy was killed during a wreck during a race. Just 2 weeks after the tragedy, the track suffered $20,000 in damages after a fire broke out and destroyed most of the grandstands and other structures near the fan area. It's documented that those living near the track got up in the middle of the night to go to the track and help grab whatever they could to salvage anything that could burn. They managed to grab several items, including an amplifier for the PA system and cans of paint that were located under the grandstands. In the 1950s, a man by the name of Paul Carnes from Marion took over the track and added a new light system and greatly improved the track's surface, which led it to be one of the fastest tracks in the entire Midwest. If you can tell, the hole in the wall at the start-finish line, as seen in this picture, is still visible today. Sprint car and midget races continued at Armscamp until the mid-1960s. It's documented that the track held its last race in 1967, but that claim is disputed by several sources. As you can see, some parts of the track are still there today. Town officials ended up bulldozing turns 1 and 2 as trespassers would drive on the track after it closed for good. During this past year, it appears as though someone has added some sort of small dirt track to the infield of the old Armscamp Speedway. To close out this video, here are some more drone shots of the facility as it is seen today. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like or comment below, and tell me how I did. I'd love to hear any stories you have about the tracks in this video, and I'd even like to hear if I got any information wrong that you may know about. Please consider supporting me as described in the description of this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video in this series. I can't thank you enough for watching. Support your local short tracks so they don't become left behind.